Apologies I wasn't able to do this video earlier, but I was on a trip over the weekend, saw a concert with the homies and all that stuff, and, on Sunday, while I was still out of town, got the tweet notification from Woj that the Boston Celtics traded for Jrue Holiday. Of course, Jrue Holiday was on the Blazers after the giant seismic Dame Lillard trade to the Milwaukee Bucks in that 3-team deal. And we all knew the Portland Trail Blazers were trying to, trade Holiday so they can get more assets. And there were a few teams who had already thrown their hat into the ring. And the Celtics came out on top. And they had to give up Rob Williams, who was just an awesome defensive anchor for the Celtics, often not healthy. And, over the last few years, he had been dealing with knee injury stuff, but made a big impact in the playoffs, especially their run to the finals in 2022 on one leg. And then this past year, some of the switches in that Miami series were very pivotal. But the Celtics, this is pretty much, I see the Jrue Holiday trade in a few ways. One, my concern about the Marcus Smart trade that they did earlier this summer, where they traded Marcus Smart to the Memphis Grizzlies, and, that 3-team deal that brought in Kristaps Porzingis. I thought the Celtics were losing their identity, especially their identity defensively. I know the Celtics like to play drop coverage, but whenever they did go to switching lineups and quote-unquote smaller lineups, that switching was just killer, and Marcus Smart's versatility was at the center of that. But they got a perfectly fine replacement in Jrue Holiday, who is between Jrue Holiday and Marcus Smart as the best guard defenders in the NBA. You can argue semantics. Jrue Holiday might be a little bit longer than Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is more willing to guard fives even. Jrue Holiday's bigger, stockier, but both cut from the same cloth. Tough as hell defenders, are willing to defend the bigger guys, the bigger wings, and of course they can guard the quick point guards. And this was a get for the Celtics. I like this trade for the Celtics, actually. I don't know how it will, affect the overall team, because they've kind of changed up their identity now. I think this trade, one, tells me that they are leaning all the way in with Missoula ball, especially now that they have, shipped out Robert Williams to Portland. They have changed their identity, and they clearly wanted a point guard still that could at least take some of the playmaking duties, because that was my other concern, or not concern, but wanted to see what Jason Tatum with more playmaking responsibilities looked like. And, the Celtics had no problem putting the ball in his hands anyway during the playoffs, and with great success. They've been to a finals and 3 out of the last 4 Eastern Conference finals. But now with Jrue Holiday there, you have a natural playmaker, but someone who can get you over 7 assists per game and legitimately run an offense, much like how the Celtics leaned into Marcus Smart, the point guard, the last few years, and how he was the primary playmaker and really the only positive plus passer on the team. And now you replace that with Jrue Holiday. During his career with the Milwaukee Bucks in 3 seasons, he shot nearly 40% from 3 on over 5 attempts per game. So not only do you get, the defense and the playmaking that can fill in for the void left by Marcus Smart, you're just getting a flat-out better offensive player. Just the shooting that Jrue Holiday provides will provide extra space for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to operate. Jrue Holiday can be a really good release valve off the ball if, Tatum wants to kick it out to the corner as he's driving to the cup. Same with Jaylen Brown. And then you can give the ball to Holiday so you can run some pick and roll, whether it be with Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Jrue Holiday is somebody who can do a lot of versatile stuff on the offensive end. We saw him in Milwaukee set screens for Giannis, set screens for Chris Middleton. And so the Celtics can now bring some of that back because they used Marcus Smart for screens. And with Jrue Holiday's toughness, I have no doubt the Celtics are going to be leaning into that screening. And this trade also tells me that the Celtics are all in on Joe Mazzulla as their coach for the next foreseeable future, especially transitioning from Ime Udoka. You forget that it's been just over a calendar year before all the allegations against Udoka and all that caused him to, be sent away from the team and then ultimately terminated, and then Mazzulla replaced him. But they're leaning all the way into Mazzulla ball because Joe Mazzulla has more of an offensive, tendency, and the Celtics took a lot of threes last year. It was basically 3 attempts and rim attempts, though you could argue the rim attempts were a little far and few in between than maybe Celtics fans would have liked. But this is a full year of Joe Mazzulla as the coach. It gets an offseason to prepare. He's brought in veteran coaches to his coaching staff, such as Sam Cassell, and then, of course, former Milwaukee Bucks assistant Charles Lee. And they are just fully leaning into Mazzulla ball because I see him playing a lot of, Jason Tatum at the 4 lineups, because that's what this screams to me, especially, shipping out Rob Williams. They are also gambling on if Kristaps Porzingis' health issues are behind him, because last year was really the first season in a long time where Kristaps Porzingis was fully healthy. And I mean just lower extremity injuries for Kristaps Porzingis, because that's what he had been dealing with the last few years. Though he did have a little foot issue, or maybe it wasn't an issue, I'm not too sure on that, over the summer. But they are gambling on this Kristaps Porzingis trade working out. And they gave him that extension too with the 3-team deal that happened over the summer. So they're really leaning on Kristaps Porzingis to, one, provide a type of offensive big the Celtics really haven't had, someone they can place a little bit all over the floor, and then also somebody who they hope is going to continue, the dominance around the rim and the post scoring that he had last year. So this is a gamble on 2 fronts, leaning all the way into Mazzulla ball, which is good because you want to give your young 34, 35-year-old head coach, all the tools needed so he can execute his vision. But then also you're leaning on Kristaps Porzingis to stay healthy. Now, granted, you were doing the same with Rob Williams and in a 36, now 37-year-old Al Horford, but this is the gamble you take. This is what it takes to get to the top. And the Milwaukee Bucks made a big trade, and then the Celtics made a big trade. And now the Celtics, I think, are literally right behind the Bucks. I would still lean Milwaukee just because I think the Bucks offense is going to be something special to watch this year. Just Damon Giannis on the floor is just going to make them special, but the Celtics are right there. And now they have a few answers to counter that, because we remember Jrue Holiday's 2018 series with the New Orleans Pelicans, locking up Dame Lillard, locking up CJ McCollum in that first round series where Portland got ass blasted out of the gym in a sweep. So now they got that guy to guard Dame Lillard. It's going to be an interesting Eastern Conference. I think the Celtics and the Bucks are the 2 clear top dogs in the East, and then Miami's right is basically my Eastern Conference tiers. Like, I still consider Miami a contender no matter where they are seated. If Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Eric Spoelstra make the playoffs, they're going to be a contender because they always have a shot to make a deep run with those guys. But the Celtics have certainly loaded up. They have changed their identity a little bit around their 2 star wing players. Jaylen Brown has re-upped and is in the building for the next 6 years with that giant-ass contract. And they're ready. It's time to make a few cracks at a championship, and with this trade of Jrue Holiday, the Celtics are right back in the mix right after the Bucks made a big trade of their own.